the fire is not going to actually die down. The fire is going to intensify, because as we get more and more into this thing and we start seeing these banks begin to declare themselves insolvent, it's going to become a nightmare in America, because of the fact that I believe that, and I think I've shared this with you, and I will take this just to put this in. So I had a vision, and the vision that I had was a very short one, but I saw Lincoln. We know the statue of Lincoln, the Lincoln Memorial. President Lincoln. Okay, Abraham Lincoln. I saw the head of Lincoln come completely off. In other words, the head of Lincoln came off.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I kind of see now people say, well, what exactly is a vision? Well, I think the vision is, in fact, not a lot of people see this or have it happen to them, but I know that this is how I get things in part, between dreams and vision and so forth. But I believe with all my heart here, what's taking place here is that we're looking at America that is on its way down to what I would classify as a third world country, because I think that that's where we are right now. I think we will lose our base as being the preeminent giant, if you will, as we've been in the past. I think the day is over.
Well, I think so too. I mean, with the idea of NAFTA, GATT, we have no industry, we have nothing, and the Chinese and the Japanese have huge amounts of our bonds, $1 trillion a piece. How do we our money? How do we repay those people when we don't produce anything?
Well, that's it, Dr. Warren. Again, you know, when you use that illustration, now how are we going to pay someone with something that we don't hold ourselves? Remember, all of this is what we, you know, this is what's got us in trouble, because the unscrupulous people on Wall Street and investment houses and so forth, they've been pandering and putting all this stuff out in the markets out there, as if, in fact, these investments, these securities, all of this stuff really don't have any value. It's just junk that's been out there.
Well, see, these are supposed to be the masters of the universe, the Illuminati, you know, the wise financials of the financial centers of the world. London, they done sold these fraudulent bonds that have become worthless. Banks are insolvent around the world, and we are here to tell you, according to the scriptures, you know, how you must preserve your assets. Now, what must you do? I mean, we can sit here for hours and hours and hours. You go on the internet. Well, what exactly do you do as a common man? Is it too late now to begin the process now, or should you just give up all hope?
I don't think it's ever too late, because of the fact that I think you have to start where you are. There's a lot of people who say, well, I wish, you know, I knew about this, you know, 5 or 6 years
or when gold was $200.
The fact of the matter is that you have to deal with it now.
Absolutely, that's what's the president.
And that's where we are. Wherever you are right now, that's what you have to deal with. And I think the key of it is that if you deal with it right now, rather than waiting to the fact that the fire is totally out of control, then in essence you're in trouble, because I think it's too late to react to try to do anything. Because by the time, let's just say gold is at $2,000 an ounce, what person is going to be at that level that they can come up with $2,000 to buy an ounce of gold?
Okay, now currently gold just hit, this is Friday, I guess, I think it was this past Friday, I think it was the 19th. Gold closed in futures was about 1,000, and then on the spot it was about 992. So we're talking about basically, in other words, gold is $1,000 an ounce and silver is $1,450. Now listen, $1,000 is a little bit out of reach for most people, but gold does come in fractional pieces, fractional, you know, ounces, half ounce, quarter ounce, and a tenth ounce. We'll talk about this. In other words, we're going to give you some what you can do. I mean, it's not too late. And we can't talk about what took place 4 or 5 years ago, but what is now, and how you as a common man can protect your assets and possibly prosper from this coming calamity that is unfolding before our eyes. It's like you see your house burning down, and the first thing you want to do is go into the house and grab your pictures or your momentum. Certain things in that house are irreplaceable. The house is insured, but you got your pictures of grandma, etc. Certain things in that house that you want to preserve. Well, this is what we're going to tell you. Well, what we just might as well point out. Well, there's a scripture in the Bible, in John 47th chapter of Genesis, it said, "And money failed in Egypt." And it's failed before. This is nothing new. That the empires have failed as a result of an economic collapse. So here we are. We have an economic collapse. But what must you do as an individual? We can't talk about the Federal Reserve System. That's beyond your control. What you must do to protect you and your family.
Well, here again, I mean, the real matter of it is, the real truth of it is that we have to go back and understand that, as you pointed out, throughout history, every nation that had fiat currency.
What's fiat currency? They haven't understand.
Basically, fiat currency is anything that is not backed up by gold or silver.
Okay, so it's a
Basically,
paper currency.
It's a paper currency that has no monetary value to it, other than what, you know,
the government sponsors.
Exactly, that's why we call it a note.
Right.
It's a promissory note, and that note could be, in essence, at this point in time, if in fact, as we pointed out here, as things continue to deteriorate, the note itself becomes worthless.
Well, people around the world have begun to lose faith in the dollar.
Exactly.
And they're beginning to lose faith in the euro. As of now, gold, which is a real currency, is rising in all currencies. All nations, this current crisis, are printing money to their citizens. And people that in these various countries and nations throughout the world, you know what they say? They say, wait a minute, for me to preserve my assets, for my heritage, for my family, everybody's running to gold or silver or platinum or what, even copper, to do something to preserve their assets. This is what we're going to talk about in this half, so you can continue there.
Okay. Well, here again, you know, what I want to state, you know, just in connection with what you just mentioned here, you know, in terms of the fiat currency, again, that's an instrument, unfortunately, that most people still have a faith or a belief in that it's going to be safe, because with people who have savings and so forth, particularly they put their monies in the bank and so forth, it was the expectation, they believe that whatever happens, our government is not going to allow their money to be undermined or to be destroyed, whatever happens and so forth. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Now, we have to understand, as of Friday, you mentioned about the price of gold and silver both moving. That should tell you something. That should give you some indication. If gold is almost at, let's just say it was at $1,000.
Right.
What happened to the investors? The investors apparently saw the market. They saw the market drop, and people said, "Look, you know, I'm not putting anything in. I'm not going every day." And in essence, what happened is that evidently there's a push now into this gold thing, because we saw gold move from 9-something almost up to $1,000. I'm quite confident that we're going to see gold moving well over that $1,000 an ounce. There's no question in my mind about that. So as that takes place, as the everyday consumer, I have to ask myself, why is this taking place? Mm-hmm. But not only that, what do I need to do in order to try to secure myself of having something rather than losing everything that I have? Because of the fact that if I'm going to trust a system that I'm watching collapse right before my eyes, literally, what will happen if I do nothing? I will end up losing it all anyway.
Right. To give you an example, if you look up Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe has a $500 million note. I said $500 million note. That's only worth about 20 US dollars. So we are beginning to walk down that road where our money is becoming worthless. Our money is failing. And it's throughout the world. Most currencies are being eroded by the government printing money, you know, or increasing the digits in the computer. So what else, since we moved on, what must we specifically now?
Well, I think, you know, there's a number of things that we need to do specifically. That's why I've got on the table here some instruments I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, well, let's begin to talk about, let me say this. Many things on the YouTube, you don't hear people telling you what you should specifically do. In other words, we're giving you out information of what you can do as middle class folks. I mean, things that you have under that you can do, provided that you have a little knowledge and a little incentive. Because what's going to happen, whether you got insurance, annuities, or whatever, these things will become worthless as the dollar begins to fall in value. And just to back up a little bit before we begin this, Obama the Congress just passed the stimulus bill, which is worth roughly, just say, I don't know, just round up, let's say $800 billion, let's say almost $1 trillion. The amount of finance they have to do this year, the deficit this year will be $2 trillion. Now, where are they going to get we don't have $2 trillion in savings. Now, does Americans have $2 trillion in savings?
Not at all.
And we don't have any gold. So, who are we going to get to buy our bonds?
That's the whole key. That's the whole picture here. Because I mean, that number that you mentioned is much higher. You know, that's just a number they're putting out there.
Exactly.
But the truth of the matter is, and again, I heard something I think it's Lindsey Williams. I don't know if you saw the update on, but he had talked about one of the previous persons. I forget the person's name who was a controller, but there is out there right now to the tune, if you can get a handle around this. America owes or has about, at this point in time, if I'm understanding what they were saying, $66 trillion in unfunded debt.